Hello guys, BJ back. Welcome to my full card review of the Skybound Dragons Set 4 expansion for Shadowverse Worlds Beyond. Now, we have had about 4 or 5 days with the cards, so I'm starting to get a little bit more familiar with kind of the full set, and I feel, to be honest, I'm in a better place to kind of give the cards a score and really talk about them than I would have been kind of like, you know, the day before they released. So what we can do is go through each of the cards. I'm going to give them a score of 1 to 5, okay? So 5 of those kind of like awesome, absolute meta-defining cards. 4 are your really good cards, really solid cards. Most of your meta decks will be made up of the 4 out of 5s. 3s are kind of like situationally good cards, right? Most of the time they're a bit kind of okay, you know, they're not bad, but they're kind of okay, meh, bit meh, but in the right situation they can be good. 2 are pretty much bad cards, and 1 are just basically unplayable. So with that said, let's dive on in. So we're going to start with the neutral cards, okay? Now, first of all, we've got Vern, the Bestest Pal. I really like this card, actually. It's a neutral bronze, and it's a 2/2. For 2, but it scales, so when the super evolution's unlocked, it just evolves. Now, even without the even without the Skybound ability, it's quite nice, right? Because 4/4 essentially with rush, that's kind of one way of looking at this, is always going to be useful, right? And obviously with Skybound arts in the game, this is a really, really solid option. And what I like as well is, like, no matter whether you're a beginner, whether you're kind of quite new with your collection, you can start dabbling with Skybound arts quite early on with cards like this. So overall, I actually think that I think it's a 3. I'm giving it a 3 out of 5. It's okay, yeah. Next up, we've got Lyria. Now, Lyria is being used a lot in many decks. It's a 1/1 with barrier for 2. But if you play it on 8, you basically draw a follower that costs 7 or more, and you recover 7 player points. So it's like it only costs 1 and draws a card. I think that is a really fantastic ability. I mean, it's really powerful because you can really build around it, and a lot of late game cards, you know, they're pretty essential, right, to the deck. So I would say that Lyria is a really solid sort of like 3.5. It's okay in the early game. Quite sneaky as well to evo it in the early game when you've got a 3/3 with barrier. It's a bit annoying for your opponent to deal with. It's not easy, and it can sometimes push a bit of chip damage. So I'm going to give it a 3.5 overall. Now, next up, we've got Uni Cosmic Legacy. This is a silver. It's a 3/3 for 3, and it's got aura at the end of your turn. Restore 1 defense to all allies. Now, remember that obviously includes your leader. What do I think about Uni? It's not been played much yet. I think the thing about it is, like, aura is very powerful. I do really like aura. I'd probably say it's probably just not quick enough. It's not doing enough. It's basically going to get traded in the early game, and it's going to heal you for 1. So I feel like it's probably a nice idea, but it's probably overall a bad card. Like, I'd say it's like a 2, yeah, maybe a 2.5 for being kind. Next up, we have got Gran and Jita. Now, you've probably seen this card everywhere. It's a gold card. It costs 4, and it's a 3/2. So a bit understated, but it's got a very good fanfare ability. So you select a mode to activate, and you either deal 5 damage to a random enemy follower, and that's important that it says random, right? Because you can get, for example, a Valse that's just hiding in ambush, or you can draw 2 followers. So when you think about how all of the classes have a 3-costed spell that draws 2 cards, for an extra 1 player point, you're drawing 2 cards and getting a 3/2 body, so that's not bad at all. And obviously you can choose to evolve it in the early game, and in the late game, if you've got Skybound art, then you actually evolve this follower automatically. So remember, Skybound art is just relates to whatever turn it is, plus how many times you've evolved whilst the card was in hand. So pretty good all round, like good in the late game, very good in the late game, and pretty good in the early game too. So it's just a real Swiss Army knife, really flexible card. I think this is a good card. I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5. Next up, we have got Catalina. Now, Catalina is interesting because she is in the... she's a neutral card, and she reads, deal 5 damage to 2 random enemy followers. But that is a Skybound art ability. It's not a standard fanfare. So it does mean that when you play her on 5, she's not doing a right lot to the board. However, she does have ward, and she does have an ability that can't take more than 3 damage at a time. So that's kind of, it's kind of useful. You can think about things like using her to block, like masterwork, for example, or even Albert, right? So there's going to be uses, I think, for Catalina in certain metas, but overall, I think she's probably not going to make it in that precious 5-drop slot where we often play cards that really turn the tide and catch up with the aggro. So I feel like overall, I'm going to give this a 2, but I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe it's a 2.5. I wouldn't be surprised if we see it like as a tech card, maybe even in tournament decks. Next up, we've got Sandalphon. Now, this is like, to me, this is almost a bit like the Gilneas of the faction, because at first I was like trying to get my head around it, but now we're just seeing this card everywhere, guys. It's the first Invoke card, so basically you want this in your deck, you don't want it in your hand. And once you've evolved 6 times, whether that's free evolves or using your actual evolved points, once you've done it 6 times, this will basically just jump onto the board and then jump into your hand and basically put the crest, a crest in your hand which says countdown 2, and at the end of your turn, restore 1 defense to all allies. I think this card is, it's quite neat for the heal, but the big thing, obviously, is that once you have Super Skybound Art, or SSA, or SSBA, we need to decide what the acronym is. I can't be saying Super Skybound Art every time, guys. But what it does is it basically does 10 damage, but it does 2 damage 5 times, and it's to a random enemy, so it can hit units on the board, it can hit the enemy face as well. So there's some really great things you can do to kind of set this up as a finisher, basically. And yeah, it's actually very powerful. I think it's a 4, guys, to be honest. You can build really well around it in constructed. Maybe in the Take 2 format where you can't construct, maybe it'd be like a 3. But to me, I don't think it's quite a 5, but I think it's like a solid 4, maybe even a 4.5 in constructed. You've seen it absolutely everywhere. So that is all of the neutral cards. Let's move on to Forest. Okay. So the first card for Forest is Starry Sky. This is a silver card, and it just says, for 1 player point, deal 2 damage to a random enemy follower. Combo 5, gain the crest Starry Sky. And that crest is a countdown 1. It just says deal 1 damage to the enemy leader, add a Starry Sky to your hand. So basically it's like a recycle card, right? You can just keep, the idea would be you just keep putting this back in. The problem is combo 5, guys. I mean, wow. You've got to work really hard to get combo 5 off. I think it's a really bad card. I don't know, like I feel like combo 5 is just way too much. I don't think I've seen this played anywhere. I'm trying to think what deck you would want to play that in. I mean, obviously, the one of it comes to mind would be something like Rose Queen, right? Because it is a 1-cost spell, and you can keep topping them up. So maybe it's okay in that. But I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you think. I feel like, deal 1 damage to the enemy leader and add a Starry Sky to your hand. It does feel like a Rose Queen setup. Maybe I need to try that. I mean, I want to give this a 1. I've felt like it's unplayable, but maybe in the Rose Queen deck it's doable. So it's probably something like a 2 in general, and probably a 3 in a Rose Queen deck. Next up, we got Chloe Watergal. This is a 2/2 for 2, and it just says enhance 8, select a follow in your hand and summon it, return to your hand. I don't think this card is that great, guys, to be honest. The idea is that you can cheat out at like the 9-drop Congregant, and that is powerful, but it really feels like the only thing that it's worth doing. So for me, I feel like this is a 2. I wouldn't say it's an unplayable card, but I do think it's a bad card overall. Awia Wind Personified. This is a 2 player point for 2/1 for 2. And it says fanfare, Skybound Art, recover 1 Evo point. Now, Skybound Art is actually not that difficult to achieve. You only need 10 on the Gorge as opposed to the Super Skybound Arts, which need 15. I think this is a pretty decent card, actually. It allows you to really push in the early game with your Evos, which is exactly what you need to do to trigger Skybound Art abilities quick, and then this recycles your Skybound arts that you maybe would have been a bit more conservative with in the early game. So it actually fits quite well into a Skybound art type of a deck. It also works pretty well in Azudia as well, because Azudia sometimes has to use those Evos when they don't really want to, but it's like emergency control, and so to be able to get them back is pretty good. I would say this card is like, it's not amazing, but I don't think it's bad either. I'd probably give it a 3 overall, to be honest. Yeah, I think it's a 3. Now, Comet Drive, on the other hand, is super good. There's so many ways to evolve now, and this thing is like a premium because it's 4 damage for 2, but it draws a card if you've got an Evo on the board. Now, even without drawing the card, it's still really solid removal for fairly cheap. I think this card is really good. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. Alphamere is a 2 player point card that says select a mode to activate. Super Skybound Art activate all of them instead. So basically, for most of the game, you get to choose either to draw a card, restore 1 defense to your leader. Okay, give all ally followers +1 one attack and rush. Or the third option is to give all allied fields on the field +1 health and ward. So it's like attack, defend, or kind of like heal and draw, right? So it's a very good utility card in that sense. Obviously, if you get the Super Skybound out of, this thing gets busted. But I think it's actually just like, you are paying for the flexibility, and I think I can't see too many utilities for it at the minute. So I feel like overall, I think it's like not a great card. Maybe a 2.5. Yeah, I'm going to say 2.5. Next up, we have got Manamel, which is a bronze 2/1 for 4. Terrible stats, but it does say at the end of your turn, evolve this follower. When this follower evolves, deal 1 damage to all enemy followers. I mean, the thing is, it's like, you the evolve at the end of turn's not good, is it? Like, you need... What good's that? Like, you need to attack with it. I think this is pretty much unplayable. I really... Yeah, I'm going to give this a 1. Next up, we got Capitan, the Iridescent Archer. This is a 3/2 for 4. It has a fanfare Super Skybound art, which says evolve this follower, deal 3 damage to the enemy leader. Now, its standard ability, though, is when the follower evolves... So it's not a fanfare, it's just whenever it evolves, do this 7 times. Deal 1 damage to a random enemy follower. Now, this is phenomenal because when we talk about the UL and Society crest in a minute, what it basically does is really make Capitan great, because Capitan can then come on afterwards and basically evolve for free, doing the 7 damage. And we've already talked about Sandy, you're right, in the neutral... the neutral 6-drop, and because Sandy's 6 and Capitan is 4, that means on 10 player points you can play both of them. So Capitan can come on as long as Scoretel's crest is in play. Capitan does the 7 damage, the pings, and then you play the Sandy basically for the 10 damage. So it's a really, really powerful finisher. And if you're playing Evo Forest, that's like a really good finisher to be trying to aim for. I think Capitan's a good card. I think I think it's decent because of that combo. It's a really hard one. If I was rating this just as it says here, I would probably give it like a 2 out of 5. But when you consider the fact that it's in this place where you can pretty much evolve it quite predictably and quite consistently, it goes up quite a lot. So I would say, oh god, in the overall faction, it's probably like a 3. In the Evo Forest deck, it's more powerful though. It's maybe a 3.5 or a 4. So yeah, somewhere around that, I think. It's really, really interesting card. I like it. Next up for 5, we get a 5/4 in Anthuria, and its fanfare says give all allied followers on the field barrier. Now, I haven't seen this used yet. I'm trying to think what type of deck would want to play it. Probably a sort of tempo fairy deck. Where you play out really strong on the turn 4 you Evo, and then you play this. The problem is that most of the times by this stage of the game, your opponent is going to be clearing your unit. So I just feel like a lot of time you're going to play this, and it's basically just going to give itself barrier. That's presuming it does give itself barrier. Let me know in the comments if you've tried that. I'm not really sure. I think overall, I'm going to say it's a bad card. I think it's a 2 out of 5. Now, UL and Skytel, I think this is a really great card, guys. It's a 4/3. Its fanfare says, do this 2 times. Deal 4 damage to a random enemy follower. That's just a standard fanfare, right? So on 5, really nice kind of catch-up mechanic, which is what you're looking for on those 5 drops. But then, guys, it says, if you super evolve it, it gives you a crest. And this crest is super powerful. This crest is one of the best crests in the game. It says once on each of your turn, so it's the first time, when you play a follower, evolve it. So for the next 4 turns, and by the way, you can do it the same turn, right? So you can play this and put something down straight away, and after you super evolve this, then you put something down and it evolves. So basically you can get 4 evolves out of this. I think it's really phenomenal. It allows some great setups. I think this is a really good card. I think it's like a 4, maybe even a 4 point. It's a 4 generally. Specifically in the Evo deck, it's like a 5, to be honest, in there. But I think overall I'd give it like maybe a 4. Yeah, it's a really good card, yeah. Next up we got Cow and Yao, Ko and Yu, Love and Hatred. It's a nice little bronze card, actually, for 7. It's an 8/6, a good body. It says can attack 2 times per turn, strike, restore 3 defense to all allies. Now, the thing is with this, you are going to have to evolve it. Again, though, think about playing that after UL and Society. Yeah, it's going to be really cool. Like, bringing this on, it gets a free evolve, and then it does that for heal. Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, I don't like the fact that outside of that combo, you do have to spend an evo. It is a bit useless if you don't evo it. So I think it's like situationally good. And the 6 heal is quite impressive. So I'm going to give it a 3 overall, just because it is reliant on the evo. If it wasn't as reliant, it'd be better. But I think for a bronze card, this is really solid. All right, so that is all of the forest cards. Let's now move on to Swordcraft. So Swordcraft, we first have Randall the Feet Fighter, which is a bronze 2 cost, which is a 3/2, and it says enhance 5, give this follower Storm. So if we play this on 5, it's a 3 costed Storm unit, which, you know, you're paying quite a lot there for Storm. Of course, you've got access to things like maybe you could build like a crown deck, for example, so that this thing, all your units get 1/1, so this becomes a 4/3, and then obviously a Super Evo, this would be doing 7 damage for 5, right? So that's not bad, is it? I think in Sword it is particularly scary. In any other class, this wouldn't be quite as good, but in Sword it's really scary because Sword has so many great ways of just bursting you down. So we have to judge it, you know, as a Swordcraft card, right? I think that it is... I think overall it's probably... Is it a bad card? Or is it situationally good? I'm gonna be right on the fence for this and give it a 2.5. It's somewhere between a situationally good and bad card. Yeah, it might just be a 3 because it's Sword. Arthur, Staunch Dragon. Now, this is pretty cool. It's a 2/3 with Ward. If you evolve it, it says summon Mordred, the Illusionary Lion. And Mordred is a card you can play as well, and almost in vice versa, Mordred says summon Arthur. So they basically summon each other, right? Mordred is a 2/1 with Storm, and Arthur is a 2/3 with Ward. I don't like the stats. I think the stats are pretty poor, but obviously this is designed for you to actually evo. And I think that these cards are probably about a 3 out of 5 because, you know, you're only really going to play them in either like a Storm deck or in an evo deck. But I think that flexibility, and when you do evo and you get them both out, then it's pretty insane value. But on their own, not too great. I think the Storm one you're probably more likely to see, to be honest, because you're getting a 2/1 with Storm. Like I said, I do wonder about playing the Crown, you know, with these extra Storm units and seeing how that works. Kind of interesting. I'm going to give them both a 3, I think. Yeah, I'm going to give them both a 3. Next up, we've got Feather. This card is a 3-costed 5/4. This card's got to be good, right? It's the most overstatted 3-drop in the game, and if your opponent probably is going to have an answer, but if they don't, it's pretty beastly. I kind of want to see this in a really kind of fast aggro beatdown type of sword deck. I haven't seen that pop up yet, but this card's got to be good, right? How good is it, though? Is it a 4? Or is it actually not? I mean, it doesn't scale too well, right? I'm going to give it a 3.5. I don't know if it's good enough to be good. I know it's great stats, but that doesn't just make a card good. Stats alone don't make a card good. Now then, Fiorito is an ambush unit. Good to see some more ambush. That's like a thing with sword. We may well be able to build like a really good ambush deck one day. It's got good health as well. It's really hard to snipe this card, but it has only got 2 attack for 4. It does come with Bane, so it's kind of like an ambush. It's kind of like a delayed removal, at which point you're almost a bit like, well, why not just get removal? Like, why not just play Divine Thunder, for example, for 4 and just remove something straight away? So overall, I think it's a nice idea, but I think it's probably a bad card. Let me give it a 2. Knightly Ardor is a 5-costed spell, which basically is has a mode ability. It says, option 1, give the leftmost allied Swordcraft follower on the field can attack 2 times per turn. So when you play a unit out that has multiple bodies, the card itself that you play becomes the leftmost card from your perspective, right? So if you've got loads of like, if you play like Amelia or Amalia, the 8-drop. Amalia, right? If you play Amalia, that would mean the big body, right? So it is in many ways like it could be a finisher. Option 2 is give all Swordcraft followers on the field +1/+1 and barrier. And I really want to build that crown deck. That's kind of interesting. Yeah, kind of go wide support. Option 3 is recover 2 play points and 1 evo point. Okay, so a bit of heal and get an evolution back, and that's the first time in the game where we've had that. Obviously, the Forest card can now do it as well in this set. And then number 4 is restore 6 defense to your leader. I really like the flexibility. I do think it's a little bit expensive, but I do like the flexibility because it's probably always going to be somewhat useful, right? Like one of those is going to be relevant. So, but I do think it's a bit expensive. That's the only thing. I could see you running like maybe one of these. I think overall it's a 3 for me because it with those options it typifies like the idea of being situationally good. Yeah, this is going to be good in the right situation. Another time it's going to be just probably sitting in your hand looking a bit expensive. So I'm going to give that a 3. Now we have got Aglovale, the Lord of Frost. This is a 6-cost unit and it's a 5/3. Poor stats, but it has got Intimidate. It says deal 3 damage to all enemy followers. So nice bit of AoE. You know, obviously, if you don't have Gildaria, this could be quite good in a sort of mid-range deck or a control. Nice to see Sword getting a bit more control tools. Sword did struggle with, when it was behind with like go wide boards. The main thing is though that because you've got Sincero at 6, like if you're playing Loot Sword, then you're never going to play this. I suppose the question is, what if you're not playing Loot Sword? And that's where this card could actually be kind of useful. I think overall, it's not great. The stats aren't fantastic. And by the time you get to turn 6, even the AoE probably is going to mean you're going to need to Evo because you're probably going to have units that are bigger than 3. So I think it's probably a bad card. Don't get me wrong, though. Or is it a 3? Is it situationally good? I'm going to give it a 2.5. It's somewhere in between. I think I'm leaning towards it being 2, being a bad card, to be honest. Yeah. Next up, we've got the Golden Knight, True King's Blade. Big card, right? 7 cost, 6/6. Fanfare, selector mode to activate. So I love that straight away. There's nothing fancy. There's no requirements, no Skybound art, just fanfare, right? And we can either super evolve this follower, okay? So it would become a 9/9 that can charge or rush or whatever. Or it's deal 4 damage to all enemy followers. So it's a much beefier AoE. Or it's restore 4 defense to your leader. So The big thing here is if you play this on turn 9, if you play it for 9 points instead of 7, which is what enhance means, you get to activate all of them instead. And that's really, really OP. Like, playing all 3 of those for 9 is really great value. Playing them individually is, it's a little bit undervalued, to be honest, at 7. So, how good do I think this is? I think it is about a 3.5. It's almost good. I think it... do I think it's a good card for 7? It's slightly underpowered at 7, but really good at 9. I think it's like a 3.5 overall. All right, guys. So that is Sword. Let's now talk about Rune. So Rune drop, we've got the 1-costed Sufframare, Wandering Tutor. This is a 1/1. At the end of your turn, spell boost your hand X times. X is this follower's attack. So if you just played it down on turn 1, you should immediately spell boost at the end of your turn and get 1/1, right? If you evolve it, obviously, then you're going to be doing 3 spell boost. Evolve, give this follower can attack followers or leaders. Okay. So if you evolve, you can't attack, but you are spell boosting 3. I think it's situated. I think it's not bad. It's quite a lot, you know, for a 1-drop. It's quite a lot of spell boost. I don't know. Kind of want to give it a 3. I think it's situationally good. Now the Alchemic Flare. It says select an enemy follower on the field and do 4 damage. Gain an Earth Sigil. Deal 2 damage to the enemy leader. I mean, we've already said, like, this is becoming the standard now, isn't it? Doing 4 damage for 2. The thing is, with it being in Rune, it's a spell, so it's also giving you spell boost. And then this additional potential damage as well. Really good. And great in Dirt Rune. I've seen this played in the kind of tier 1 Earth Rune deck. So, yeah, I think this is a good card. I think the value is phenomenal. I'd have to give it a 4 out of 5, if I'm honest. Next up, we've got Philosophia, the Cryptic Sophist. Fanfare, draw a spell. Nice and simple. I mean, if like Forest is meta, you could see that is this like a cleanup thing in the early game. I don't think it's good overall, though. I don't think it's net needed. Like if you think about spell boost, it's a draw engine machine, that deck. So I don't know that it needs this, to be honest. Could argue that if the game gets really aggro foresty type of thing, then maybe this could be good, or yeah, maybe it's okay into Sword, but then again, is it? I don't know. I feel like it's a bad card overall. Yeah. I just don't know if I'd ever see it played. I'm tempted to give it a 1 as like completely unplayable, but it's between a 1 and a 2. It's a bad card, let's be honest. Now, Elmot is a gold 2/1 for 3. And the fanfare says, select an enemy follower on the field, remove all abilities from it, and deal 3 damage. It's quite good, that, actually. It is quite good. You can select it as well. Get rid of barriers, get rid of wards, get rid of last words. Yeah, it's not too bad. The Super Evolve says, gain crest Elmot Remembrance of Flame, and the crest says, at the start of your turn, deal 1 damage to the enemy leader. And it's a permanent crest, right? Whoa, what happened there? Yeah, it is a permanent crest, but it does cost you a Super Evo. The question is whether you want to be really using a Super Evo. And at the minute, we haven't really got it's like a chip damage. We haven't really got a deck that benefits massively from that. How good do I think Elmot is? I think it's about a 3.5 for me. Next up, we've got Womdus, or yeah, the water personified. This is a 0/1 for 3, so the stats look terrible. However, it says on spell boost, give this follower +1/+1, so it can grow. And when you actually finally play it, it's a spell boost your hand. Now then, there is a Super Evo ability, which is a mode ability, so you can choose to either give all other followers on the field barrier, or deal X damage split between all enemy followers. X is the follower's attack, right? So obviously this sits in your hand. As you get spell boosted, this gets bigger, and then however big it is, that's how much AOE damage you do if you Super Evo, or you can basically just give him a barrier. I think this card is pretty good. I've seen it used to it's a pretty scary effect, right? Because remember the 10 drop in Rune that gets cheaper on spell boost, so you can end up with like multiple of those costing 0, putting them down on the board and using Wandus and giving barriers, and that's terrifying. So I actually think this is like a pretty interesting card. Like situationally, it's good. The standard ability, if you take out the Super Evo, the standard ability is not bad as well, because you're going to be spell boosting, it's going to be growing. I feel like it's I think it's, is it a good card? I think it's a good card. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. Next up, we've got Cagliostro, the Genius Alchemist. This is a 5/3 for 4, and the fanfare says gain 2 Earth Sigils and add an Ars Magma to your hand, which is a spell, basically, that only costs 1 and does 2 damage. Thing is, you can actually do 2 damage to face as well, so that makes this spell pretty powerful, and it also restores 1 defense to your leader. So that's pretty good, actually. The Ars Magma is really, really good. So gaining 2 sigils and 1 of those is nice sort of value package, right? If we've got Skybound art, it says you evolve this follower. And if you've got Super Skybound art, it says gain the crest. And the crest says at the start of your turn, for cost of Earthright 1, you add an Ars Magna to your hand. So you can start to build up loads of those, and then you can play them all at once to kind of like finish your opponent off with like a Sandy or something like that. I think this card's very, very, very good indeed. I don't know if I'd give it a 5. I think it's a 4. I think it's a really solid, good card. Next up, we've got Unleashed. Unleashed is a 4-cost spell. We know all about spells again in Spell Boost, right? So you're already getting benefit there. Select a mode. Draw a card, deal 4 damage to a random enemy follower. Or draw 2 cards, deal 4 damage to 2 random enemy followers, and deal 2 damage to your leader. Now, I think taking 2 damage for that is like more than worth it. Yes, in certain matchups where you can be beat down, taking damage is always a problem. So I don't know though. I mean, I've already seen this starting to be played in some of the tier 1 rune decks. I think this is a good card. I think that this super powerful, like especially on turn 4. You're probably going to be on full health still. And it just clears the board. And that was a place that Rune struggled around that turn, like trying to get to the, the Anangrias to help catch up and stuff. I actually think this is a 4 out of 5. I think that's pretty powerful, to be honest. Speaking of pretty powerful, we've got Mirelia and Rosetta. Now, this is the Terrible Twins, a fanfare ability that you summon the twins, and basically, if you've got 2 Earthright, you evolve both of them. So these become... Basically, for 2 Earthright, you're getting 2 5/5s with Rush. I think that's busted, guys. I think that's so good. Getting 2 Earthright is easy now by turn 5. It's almost not even a resource. I think this is a 5. I'm giving this 5 out of 5. I think it's a little bit of an example of a little bit of a power crept card. Really love the artwork as well on this, by the way. Really cool. Yeah, 5 out of 5 for this card. Super good. Next up, we've got... I was going to say Easy Cream. Easy Cream, the Portent of Vengeance. For 6, you get a 6/5 body, and the fanfare reads, select 2 enemy followers on the field and deal them 4 damage, gain 2 Earth Sigils. So again, keeping up on the board, putting 2 sigils in play. How good is this? I mean, like, obviously you've got big things that you're trying to do on 6, haven't you, with Norman and stuff. So whether this will... I think it's a great take 2 card, and it's a really solid... if you're a beginner, you're playing Earth, I think this is really solid. But whether it'll make it into the later game, I think it's a 3 overall. It's not a bad ability. You don't have to spend Evo, and it's giving you Earth Sigils back. So I'm going to give this a 3 out of 5. And then we got Rune Portal, the 7-cost spell, which says deal 6 damage to all enemy followers, restore 3 defense to your leader. All right, so if they said all enemies, this would be amazing, but it is only followers. It doesn't hit the leader. Restoring 3 is alright. I think that Rune Portal is... Obviously, in the right situation, it's going to be helpful. But then you're not going to be able to develop anything on the board. So they're just still going to get the board back. I don't know. I kind of feel like it's a bad card overall. I think the best you could give this is a 3, but I'm going to actually give it a... I'm going to give it 2.5. Okay, guys, so that is Rune. And I feel like Rune got a few tasty units in there, particularly for the Earth rights. Let's take a look at Dragon. So Dragon, we've got Marion Meg's Bestie, activates in hand. Whenever a 3 base cost allied follower super evolves, set the cost of this card to 0 until the end of the turn. Whenever a 3 base cost allied follower super evolves, that's very specific. At the end of your turn, give a random super evolved ally follower on the field 1/1. I think this is unplayable. I don't get it. What am I missing, guys? Let me know in the comments. I think this is a terrible card. I'm going to give it a 1 out of 5. Next up, we got Crescent Tube Ride. Right, this is a 2 cost, and basically puts a crest in your hand, countdown 4. At the end of your turn, give a random ally follower on the field +1/+1. Terrible. This is just, what's the point? I mean, you could argue that, like, if you're going all in on Storm, that you have a quiet early turn, you put this down, and then you just keep storming, and they're getting that extra 1, so it's like an extra 4 damage over the thing. But it's got to line up perfectly, and I think it's pretty much an unplayable card. I don't think you're going to see this. Giving it a 1. Then we got Maximum Love Bomb. This is a 2 cost, and it says select an enemy follower on the field, deal it 3 damage. Respectable, and give it can't attack followers or leaders until the end of your opponent's turn. So it's kind of like a stall. So it can, in the early game, it can just remove something, and then in the late game, it can kind of, it's almost like soft removal, right? Because it stalls a big unit. Yeah, it's not bad, that, actually. Like a control dragon type of thing, isn't it? Thing is, though, in the late game, it's not really big units on board that's the threat, is it? It's all this, like, sandy, and I suppose Wardhaven it's good against. Overall, I'm going to give it a 3. I think it's a 3. It's definitely not a bad card, but I don't know if it's good either. Joel has Ward and Aura. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I think we compared it to the neutral card. The fact that it has Ward makes its Aura even more relevant in a sense, right? Because they've got to get rid of it. They're going to trade into it, though. And with it only having 3 health in the late game, a lot of, like, Albert and, Albert's AoE clears it, basically. You need 4 health, so I think it's... What deck does it go in? That's the other thing. Like, what type of dragon deck does it go in? You're going to be dragon signing on 3. Just don't feel like... It's not that it's a terrible card. It just hasn't got really a home. Maybe it'll come into a future build. Somewhere between a 2 and a 3, I think. Yeah, I think it's like, okay. I'm going to give it a 3. I think it's okay. It just doesn't really fit that too well, and that's the main issue. Meg, Girl Next Door. Fanfare Skybound art. Super evolve this follower. Okay. So you get a 5/4 for 3 that attacks. Whenever a 2 base cost allied follower enters the field, give this follower ward. Okay. I mean, why? I'm giving it a 1, guys. I think it's unplayable. Izmir. This is a 5 cost, 5/4. It says, Fanfare, if you have 10 max play points, evolve this follower. When this follower evolves, deal 3 damage to all enemy followers. It's kind of like a late game AoE, right? Or you can play it a bit like the Havencraft. You can just play it on 5, evolve it, and do 3 AoE. Yeah. It's going to be quite good on 5 doing that, actually, as against aggro. And then on 10, you basically get to evolve it for free. Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah, it's not bad, actually. Yeah, it's pretty good. I think it's like a 3.5 for me. I don't think it's quite a 4, but it's getting there. Yeah. Again, I don't know which type of dragon deck you want to be playing this style at the minute, though. It doesn't really fit with any of the emerging decks, but it's, yeah, it's pretty decent ability. Zui, Ally of the World. A 5/5 for 5. Great stats. Fanfare. Gain 1 max point. Holy schmoly. Enhance 10. Give this follower Storm. Set your leader's max defense to 1, and your leader can't take more than 0 damage at a time. Right, let's talk about this card. This card is a 5. The first part of the ability would probably make it a 5, right? A Fanfare that gains max. So this is the ramp we've all been waiting for. It's perfect because it's on turn 5, so that means that if you're going first, you can do Dragon Sign on 3, then straight into this. You don't need to spend an Evo, and you're already up to 7. Wow, 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 wow. This is revolutionizing Dragon for sure. This is what Dragon needed. The enhance ability is also very unique. It's really cool. So, for example, I mean, apart from the fact that this gets Storm and does damage, what it does is it puts you... It sets up a race, basically, right? So you hit the opponent's face, and then you put your life back down to 1, but what happens is you can't take any damage. So any OTK, anything that would be coming on and doing damage, it just does nothing, right? So you're invincible for... It might as well say you're invincible for 1 turn. I love this card. This is definitely a 5 out of 5 for sure. And then we have Primal Beast Absorption, a 5-cost spell, which is select an enemy on the field, banish it. It says enemy card, guys. Nice. So not just followers. We can target amulets with this. Okay, we can target eggs. Banish it and add a copy of it to your hand. Now we're the egg player. Egg Dragon. Somebody make an Egg Dragon deck. I love that. Yeah, it's a cool ability. It's just very expensive. But, you know, if you think in Haven, there's a unit that's a 5, that's a body, right? And it banishes something, but it is banish a follower. This is banish anything. I don't know, man. Is this a good card? So expensive. Haven get a 2-cost banish. I know you're paying a premium for the fact that it can banish anything and put something back in your hand. I mean, it's kind of cool to steal a win con from your opponent, isn't it? Steal something big. I think it's maybe the definition of situationally good, so I'm going to give it a 3. Willness, Flame Personified. So Willness says, select an enemy follower in the field and deal 8 damage on Fanfare, so that's instant removal. It's got Intimidate on a big body, so it's really hard to remove, and then if you evolve it, it gets to do that again. I think it's a good card, yeah. I think it's a good card. I think it's like, it's not going to be like a meta-defining broken card, but it is a really solid ability that. You don't have to evolve it, and it's still a problem. So I'd give it a 4 out of 5. Mugen, the steel-bodied honesty. Gotta love the artwork on this, guys. 5 out of 5 for the artwork. So this one says Fanfare SSA or SSBA, and give this follower Storm. And obviously, with his beefy body of 10 strength, that's going to be a problem for anyone. Super Evolve, select 2 enemy foes on the field and destroy them. So that would make him have 13 attack and clear anything that is in his way. So this is the payoff for a Dragon Evo deck. Now, I've not played that yet, but this guy looks, he looks fun. I'm going to have to give him, I'm not going to give him more than a 3, because it's the fact that it's super Skybound art is super situational anyway. How easy is it going to be for Dragon to do this? One of the things about Dragon with the ramp is that it can get to the late game quicker. I wonder how early this guy could come down. Let me know in the comments if you've been using this guy. I'd love to know, like, how early have you managed to get him down on the board. It's quite a hard one for me to rate. I think I'm going to give him a 3. Obviously, there's going to be games where he just sits in your hand, just never get to play him. But at the same time, he's going to win your games too, right? That's exactly what he's there for. So, interesting payoff. Looking forward to giving him a try. So that is Dragon, guys. Overall, obviously, the big one being the Zooey is going to definitely give Dragon a whole new level of play this season, which is really cool. Now, Abyss, I do think Abyss got some really, really good cards in this set. Maybe the class that got the best in terms of the full set of cards. So let's take a look. So Almeida is a really cool bronze because for 2, you get a 3-1 rush. That in itself is really solid, right? Just keep up on board. If you play it on 4, though, and hence 4, you evolve this follower and gain +1/1. So that's an immediate Evo for free. And you get +1, so you're basically a 6/4 with rush. Yeah, really, really good. I would say this is like a 4 out of 5. Valiant Edge is an interesting card. I've already seen some people playing this in mode. It's a standard kind of like 2-costed spell, deal 4 damage, but it does it over 2 turns. So it does it as a crest, and it says at the end of your turn, deal 2 damage to a random enemy, and then restore 1 defense to your leader. So you're going to get 2 lots of dealing 2 damage, so that's 4 damage, and 1, which is essentially 2 heal. So that's great value, right? That's great value. I think this card is probably going to be a 4. It's also quite cool that you can split the attack like that, because then, for example, you can do things like Supplicant, which you do 3 damage to something that has 5 health, knowing that then this is going to finish it off. So it's probably going to help you with clearing boards. I quite like this card. I like to test it. I think it's a 3.5 to 4. Healing 4 damage and healing 2 for 2 is pretty good. And the splitting up of it is actually probably better. Might be. I mean, obviously, it depends on the situation. I'm going to give it a 3.5. Yeah. Satyr, the open-hearted rover. This is a fanfare. If there's an evolved allied follower on the field, evolve this follower. So again, when we're playing like Evo Abyss, this card's going to be pretty good. It's got Aura as well. So a 5/5 with Aura is pretty good. And you're probably not going to be able to play it on 3 for that, but if you play this on 3, it's still a 3/3 with Aura. But if you want to get the Evo off, it's probably going to have to be played later in the game. How good do I think Satyr is? I think it's like, yeah, I think it's like a 3. It's okay. Yeah. And then we've got Baal. It's a 2/2, and it's got mode. So obviously this can go in nicely into Mode Abyss. Deal 3 damage to a random enemy follower is exactly what you're looking for when you play on 3. The other option is to give this follower and another random allied follower on the field +1/+1. So you make this a 3/3, which is standard for 3, and then you give something else +1/1. I think that's a little bit weaker, to be honest, but I think the deal 3 damage is good. I think overall I'd give Baal a 3 out of 5. Next up, we got Corruption. Give all followers on the field -2/-2, so some AoE. Give yourself and opponent the crest Corruption Super Skybound art. Destroy your crest of corruption. So basically what happens is you put a crest in yours and a crest in your opponent's, and it says at the end of your turn, deal 2 damage to your leader. So we're basically both taking damage. It's putting us on a clock. But if we've got Super Skybound art, then we actually destroy our crest. I think it's very, very late, this, to be honest. I think by the time you hit Super Skybound art, you can't, these clock things, and you need something to be happening pretty soon. I'd probably say this is, I think it's probably a 2. Yeah, I think it's a 2. I don't think it's a good card. Next up, we've got Viseriga, which has Intimidate. I think that's the first Intimidate card in Abyss, right? For 6, it's got 7 health, but only 2 attack. But it does say last word, summon him again, basically. So if he dies, he comes back immediately. You've got to kill him twice. So he's kind of like 14 health for 6, which is quite difficult, especially with Intimidate. So he's very, very sticky. This is deal 2 damage to your leader. Oh yeah, on the last words, I think that is. How good is he? I mean, I think he's probably still a bad card. Like, playing him on 6, there's nothing to the board. And he's only got 2 attack anyway. Like, it's just too slow, I think. Don't know. Let me know if anyone's had success with him. I'd love this card to be good, but I'm tempted to say it's closer to a 2 than a 3. Nezha, Soaring War God. 8/6 body for 6. It's got rush as well. And then at the end of your turn, deal 4 damage to a random enemy and then 2 damage to another. So you kind of like, I like cards like this because you can rush into something big or bigger, and then you're doing 6 damage split across 2 different. Yeah, I think it's pretty good. I think it's pretty good. Doesn't cost you an Evo. I like this card. I think it's a 3.5 to 4. Is it just a 4? Is it just a good card? I don't know really what deck you want it in, but it's just great at keeping up on the board. I'd say it's like a 3.5 maybe overall. And then we've got Nehan. Now Nehan is a really cool card in this faction. It is 6 cost. It's only a 2/4, but it does basically evolve when you play it, so it becomes a 4/6, right? Now that means it's obviously able to rush because it's evolved, and it does deal 2 damage to your leader, but it's got drain, so it's going to kind Card's really good, and I'll tell you why. Because there are a lot of cards in this class that are like 1/1s. You can put a zero cost skeleton down. You can put bats down that only cost 1. You can have the what's the amulet where you can burst and get 2 ghosts out of it, right? So you could imagine do that, then you play near hand, that's 6 damage to face from the 2 ghosts, or you play like, you know, 2 bats and a skeleton plus this on turn 8, and then you do 6 plus 4, you do 10 heal. So it's one of the biggest burst heals in the game, and for that reason, I think this card is really good. I think it's a... You do have to build around it a little bit, so I'm going to give it a 4. Next up, we've got Fadil, Darkness Personified. This card's just so badass, guys. Really, really cool. You just need to make sure you've got 6 things dead in the grave, but you should have by turn 7. And it says reanimate a 2 and a 1 cost and evolve them, right? So obviously any Evo Abyss is great, but to be honest, this is just great in pretty much any deck. I think that's such a powerful ability. And on top of that, Fidel herself then has, at the end of your turn, give all enemy followers -2/-2, so you don't even have to trade the whole board off. And even if you can't kill something, the fact that it's -2, I love that it's -2 to strength, so even if you leave it up, it's not doing as much damage back to you. I think this card's super solid. I think it's a 5, if I'm honest. I really, really do rate this card. And then we've got Belial, the Archangel of Cunning. So Belial's really cool because it can potentially do an OTK. But if you take away all the kind of fancy, flashy, sexy stuff, right, this thing is a 7/6 on 7 that deals 10 damage to all of the followers. So if it does nothing else, that's pretty good, right? Like for 7, that is a pretty good AoE, 10 damage to all followers. Remember, it's all followers, so it will hurt your own followers. That's kind of the thing you've got to be mindful of. I think that's a really powerful effect. In addition to that, if you've got if you have got Super Skybound art, then you gain a crest, and the crest is a countdown 4. Basically, at the end of that 4, you win the game because it deals 20 damage to the enemy leader. If you Super Evo Belial, you can actually reduce the countdown by 1, and then if you get the second one, you can like Super Evo when the count has gone down to 1, for example, and just end the game. So it sets up an OTK for Abyss. I would say, and I've played this deck a little bit, I would say in the meta, it is a little bit slow. A lot of the other finishers in the game come just before Belial, and I think that's its main weakness at the minute. But that said, if you look at the ability to just deal 10 damage to all followers for 7/6, I think that in itself is really good. So I think I'm going to give Belial a 4, potentially a 4.5, but I think overall it's probably a 4 because I think its OTK is just a little bit slow, so I'm going to give it a 4. All right, so Abyss, really, really solid. Plenty of good cards there. I think they have benefited massively. Now let's talk about Haven. So we've got the Auron Inspired. I haven't tried a lot of these new cards yet, but I am keen to try them in some, probably, the problem is they're probably in some of the non-meta decks. So Auron Inspired is one of them. Basically, it costs nothing, it's 0. And but to engage, that's to put it down, but then to engage it costs 2, and it says destroy this card, select an allied follower on the field and transform it into Auron Inspired. Why do we want to do that? Draw a card. It is draw a card, which is pretty good. Just don't think you're going to see this played, to be honest. I think it's completely unplayable. Select an allied follower on the field and transform it into Auron and Inspired and draw a card. 2 to draw a card is not great, if I'm honest. The biggest thing about it is that it's an amulet, right? So, for example, the 5 cost legendary card that says if there's 2 amulets on the field, do this, and then you've got the it gets storm, sorry, and then you've also got the 3 costed unit that basically does 2 damage to 2 units if there's 2 amulets down, and so that's where it's just a cheap way of putting an amulet on the board, and for that reason I think it's not unplayable because it will be in some of those decks, but I think it's still a bad card, so I'm going to say probably a 2. Tico, the Surgeon, it's a 0/4. It says, whenever you engage an amulet, restore 1 defense to your leader. Evolve, select an enemy follower on the field, and deal it 3 damage. I mean, it's a pretty weak evolve, to be honest. But it's one of those cards that we play early, and they kind of have to deal with this 4 health. So it is kind of saving your health. So I do think in an amulet deck, you will probably play this, and I'd say it's probably about a 3 out of 5. Next up, we've got Lamretta, Sisterly Shepherd. She's a 1/4 for 2. At the end of your turn, if the follower is evolved, deal 2 damage to all followers. If this follower is evolved, deal 2 damage to all followers. So, I mean, again, if you're running amulets, it's not going to hurt your followers, right? So it's pretty cheap for it, but you do have to evolve it. Give this follower... Can't attack followers or leaders until the end of the turn. Do you want to spend an Evo on this is the question, though. Evo it to get 2. I don't think you do, and for that reason, I'm going to say it's a bad card. I'm going to give it a 2. Truly Heroic Vision. It's a 3-cost 2/1, and it's got Storm. Whenever you engage an amulet, give this follower Drain. Okay, so... it ain't going to stick around for long. It's basically a 3-costed Storm. There probably is going to be an amulet synergy in there as well. So, you know, let's say you evolve it. It's a 4 damage face and 4 heal. I don't think it's very good, if I'm honest with you. Is it good? I really need to play amulet and try this out. Generally speaking, these kind of like cheap storms, they're not bad because you have got like Evo and Super Evo, but you almost like need to be doing it. I think the thing with this is because it's cheap, you can probably align it with the amulets, right? So a couple of amulets going off, so you get multiple storm things going off at once, and that is pretty decent. I think it's going to be situationally good. I'm going to give it a 3. Galleon Earth Personified Legendary 3-cost unit that's a 5/5 ward. Obviously, it can't attack followers or leaders, but who cares? It's a 5/5 ward. They have to attack you. Even better, at the end of your turn, if you've unlocked Super Evolution, right? So basically past turn 7, this thing is evolving a random unevolved allied follower that didn't attack this turn. This is phenomenal, guys. This is so amazing, this card. You play it down on turn 3, and your opponent's just stuck because no one's got stats like this at that point in the game. Obviously, things like Valse is very good at dealing with it because it can just do 5 damage, but there's very few other answers to it. And then, as we say, in the late game, it's phenomenal. And of course, Aether in Haven pulls this, and then Aether has created a whole board of wards, and then Galleon just buffs things. So she's phenomenal. I think she's a 5. Yeah, as far as Haven go, this is a 5. Then you've got Delafield's Gleaming Gems. It's an amulet, so it's going to be played, and it says destroy this card. Engage, destroy this card, select a mode. Either destroy a random enemy follower or draw 2 cards. So, obviously, 3 cost to draw 2 cards is like standard. The thing you're getting in addition to that is the flexibility of hard removal and the fact that it is an amulet. So, once again, all the amulet synergies. I think this is decent. I don't know that it's good. I'm going to say 3.5. Obviously, in a pure amulet deck, it probably is a 4. But I think overall, probably about 3.5. Quite like it. I definitely think it'll see some play. And then you've got Sarah. Interesting card. She is a 4/5 ward, a bit like the neutral one that we've always had, that not really anyone played. However, if you play this for 6, you get plus 10 health. Now, that puts you at 15, but what's interesting about this, guys, is if you play Wilbert and you get the Wilbert crest, that makes this 17 if you play after Wilbert. And why that matters is that Sincero can't clear it from sword, right? Because if you think about Sincero, it can do 8 damage if it's got the 4 loots on it, and then it's Super Evo, so it does 8 damage, and then it actually attacks for 8, so it wouldn't actually clear Sarah. So she is a little bit of a nice tech against sword, to be honest. That said, I mean, you're not really seeing it being played too much. I think even in the Ward Haven, it's struggling to find a slot. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes in and out of that deck, though. I do think it is a decent card with absolutely phenomenal stats. I mean, of course, the stats mean nothing against, you know, things like a Samurai or anything that's basically got Bane, you know, whatever, just kills it. So there's plenty of things that can remove it, but it is kind of funny if you've got this 17 health ward unit and your opponent's got no hard removal, it kind of just wins the game on the spot. So I think situationally good, so I'm going to give it a 3. Next up, we got Sophia, the Priestess. Fanfare, summon a random Havencraft follower that costs 2 or less from your deck. So a nice bit of thinning. It's going to be good stats as well, so some sort of tempo deck. It's going to be pretty useful. Super Evo, give all other allied followers on the field barrier. Okay, so it's a nice Super Evo to have, in especially if you are playing like a tempo deck. I'm trying to think what deck this... Because it does say a follower that costs 2 or less from your deck. You're not playing it in Ward. You're not really playing it in Crest. Maybe you play it in some... Maybe there's a future deck that this is good in. I'm going to give it a 3 for now. I do think if a really good tempo Haven deck comes out, this could be really good because it's thinning and it is putting out good stats if you've got a 2-drop as well. So, yeah, maybe a 3, 3.5. Then we've got the Skyfaring Vessel, which costs 4, and it says activate in hand. Whenever you engage an amulet, reduce the cost of this card by 1. Okay, so potentially this is going to cost 0 eventually. And then it just says engage, destroy this card, select an unevolved allied follower on the field and evolve it. So it's essentially like a free way of evolving something, but you just have to wait a while. And it only is going to work in an amulet deck. I think it's probably a bad card. Vera, the Primal Knight. Big stats. We've got a 6/8 ward. And it says it can't take more than 3 damage at a time. I actually love that ability. I think it's really cool. Obviously, there are workarounds. Anything that just destroys something, anything that just banishes something is a problem. But, you know, if you think about the big finishers, if you think about things like declimb into any other big finishers after declimb, they are not going to be able to get through this. So it's a great tech against Rune. And for that reason alone, I think it's good. Also, its fanfare is very powerful. It says select 2 enemy followers in the field and banish them. Super Skybound art, super evolve this follower as well. I think this is a 4. I'm going to give it 4 out of 5. Yeah, some pretty decent cards for Haven overall. I think they are trying to push Amulet, so I definitely want to check out how good that is. But obviously, we are seeing this hybrid Ward and Crest Haven doing very well, including Vera, maybe once Sarah, but definitely the Galleons. And that's the early evidence that's coming out of this set. All right, last but not least, we've got Portalcraft, guys. Let's take a look at Portal. So we got Tsubasa, the Blazing Gear Cyclist. Nice art. It's a 3/1 for 2. Fanfare says increase the Skybound art gauge of all cards in your hand by 1. It's kind of interesting. Like sometimes you draw what's his name, Sandy, into your hand and you don't want him. And this would be like an example where that works quite well. It's also got Rush. And I think whenever you've got Rush with 3 attack for 2, you know, it's 3. It's not bad, is it? So yeah, I'd say this is a 3 out of 5. Isaac, last words, add a striker artifact to your hand. This is a great card. I really do think that this card is a 4 out of 5 card. Getting essentially 2 pieces of an artifact is definitely a power creep. Artifact itself as an archetype is weak at the minute, so therefore that obviously hurts Isaac. But Isaac's the kind of thing that could start to bring it back. Yeah, it's really powerful. Even not in an artifact deck, that's pretty powerful because obviously you've now got yourself a 5 attack rush for 3, so that's really good removal. So yeah, this is just a solid card. I could see this in several Portal decks. I think it's a 4. I think it's a good card. Now we got Sho, the Reborn Night King. Again, nice art. Fanfare. If you've unlocked Super Evolution, give this follower Barrier, and it's got Storm. Barrier and Storm. Yeah, we're starting to see this in this set, aren't we, with these kind of 3-cost storm units. I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, in theory, you can kind of put some chip damage on, and then you can come in with Orcus, for example, something like that. Or even this comes in after Orcus and finishes off. Yeah, that's pretty good. I think in the right situation, it's going to be good, but it could just be sitting in your hand, and you could be wishing it was something else. So it's purely, I don't know. Sometimes in puppet decks, though, you do have these turns where you need to get something out of your hand, and you've got loads of puppets building up, and you're saving them to combo with Orcus and Liam, and then maybe you could like throw like Shaw the Reborn Night King out of hand and start getting some chip damage. So I think it's a 3. I don't think it's a bad card, but I don't think it's that good either. I think it's like, okay. Yeah, 3 out of 5. Now we've got Stonebreaker. It says, do this 6 times, deal 1 damage to a random enemy follower. The fact that it's random means you can deal with ambush stuff, you can get round wards. The fact it says 1 damage 6 times is much better than just doing 6 damage. I think this is a great card. I think this is a 4 out of 5. Really, really solid. It's a large amount of damage for only 3. Yeah, I think this is a 4. It gets rid of barriers. It's quite good against Norman. Yeah, I like this card. I think 4 out of 5 for sure. Eustace Howl of Thunder. It's a 5/4 for 5. It's fanfare. It says Skybound art. Select another unevolved allied follower on the field and devolve it and this follower. Clash, deal 3 damage to the opposing follower. So again, speeding up Portal, giving you ability to do face damage, and yeah, Skybound art's not too difficult to play, but it's a bit situational because it's a bit clunky. The problem with this card is when you haven't got Skybound art, it's a bad card. Once you've got it, it's okay. I'd say it's probably overall like a I think it's about a 2.5, to be honest. Next up, we got Cassius, the Sky Yearning Arrival. It's a 3/2 for 5. Fanfare says, select an artifact follower in your hand and deal X damage to all enemy followers. An artifact and deal X damage. X is the selected follower's attack. So we showed you the card earlier, didn't we, that puts the striker in hand, right? We know that's got 5 attack. So basically, you play this card, you choose that card, and it basically does 5 damage AoE. For 5. That's pretty good. Last words, add a fortifier artifact to your hand. Yeah. I like this card. 5 AoE is very, very good. You know, we've already talked about cards that cost 5 and you have to often use an Evo point and they do 3 AoE. So doing 5 AoE, that's really good. There's a little bit of setup, but I think it's a good card. I think in an artifact deck, this is like easily a 4. Obviously, if it's not artifact, if it's take 2, it's a bit less, so then it'd maybe be a 3. So overall, I'm going to say like 3.5. But why would you play it if it's not an artifact deck, though? That's the thing. I think you're only going to play an artifact deck, and in that deck, it's a 4. Luo, Light Personified. Do this 6 times. Deal 1 damage to an enemy follower. Give all followers in your opponent's hand +1, 0. Now, I was watching a game. I was watching someone stream, and the guy played this, but he's playing against Forest, and the Forest player just had loads of fairies in hand, so all these fairies got +1, and it was pretty devastating. So it can backfire horribly. But that said, you're getting a 6/6 for 5, and you actually got a really powerful fanfare ability there without having to evolve. So it is like a tempo increase for now, you're going to pay later kind of thing. Skybound art, gain crest Luo Light Personified. That's a 2 countdown crest, which says whenever an enemy follower with storm attacks a leader, give it -3. Now, bearing in mind, if you played this thing, that storm follower probably got +1. So overall, it's like -2. It's an interesting card. It really is an interesting card. I've struggled to kind of rate this in a way. I struggle to rate it because basically, if you can finish your opponent off first, if you're on the front foot, then this is probably worth it. I don't think I can give this a 4, though. I don't know. I think it could backfire horribly. Obviously, if your opponent's got loads of spells, like if they're playing Rune and they don't have any followers, then the +1's not that big a deal because only like a couple of cards get it. It's a really hard one to review. I think overall I'm gonna give it a 3 and say I think it could be situationally good. Next up, we've got Chaos Legion. This card is 6 cost. It says deal 3 damage to all enemies. And this is really important, this wording, guys, because not all enemy follows all enemies, so it hits face, yeah. Super Skybound Arts is deal 6 damage instead. This card's really, really solid. I mean, obviously, SSA does... It is slow. You've got to get there. But my God, once you do, clearing the board and hitting face for 6 is massive. I think overall I give this a 4. I think it's a good card. I don't think I can give it a 5 because I think Super Skybound Art is, you know, it's not easy to pull off, but I do think it's a 4. I think it is really good. And it's going to win you a lot of games, for sure. Next up, we've got Ilsar, the Drill Sergeant. 7/6 for 7, and it's a fanfare, select a mode to activate. First option is do this 3 times, deal 4 damage to a random enemy follower. And the second option is deal 4 damage to enemy leader. I quite like this card, actually. I think doing 4 damage 3 times is a pretty nice AoE without having to cost you an evolve or without any Skybound Art. It's just, you just get it. So for that reason, I think this is a great, and it's a really good beginner card because it's a silver. Will it make it into final cuts? Well, potentially. I mean, it's quite a nice one in mode as well, right? But the only thing is like, would you just play Medusa for 7? Would you just play Medusa for 7 and kill 3 things, whereas this one's dealing 4 damage? I think overall I'm going to give it a 3. And then we've got Beelzebub, Bub, the Supreme King. Now, this is a beast of a card, right? It's a 9/9 for 9. We're already seeing this being played a lot because it has a very simple fanfare. You know, there's no complications to it. Just play it and get the fanfare. It says select 2 enemy followers on the field, remove all abilities from them, and deal them 9 damage. So that's a really premium type of removal, first of all. But then the big thing is it gives the enemy leader take 1 more damage. So this is like an ability. Your enemy leader, their portrait goes red, and this is just stuck on them for the rest of the game. And this opens up a lot of combos like Sandy, obviously, that comes on and does 10 damage, does 2 damage 5 times. Now it does 3 damage. If it hits the enemy, it's doing 3 damage, right, instead of 2. Things like the eggs, you know, the black eggs are doing 2 damage instead of 1. Things like puppets, you know, coming on with Orchist, getting an extra 1 damage. Yeah, this is a really powerful card, actually. It's really powerful. I think it is a... I'm going to give it a 4.5. It is close to being... It is a kind of meta device. Is it a 5? Is it just a 5? I'm going to give it a 5. There we go. I think in future sets it'll get power crept, obviously. But right now, I think it's opening up a lot of things. It's really strong. Really, really strong. Like it. So there we go, guys. That is the entire set. I do think that we have got some... I was a little bit down on it at first, but I think the Skybound Art is actually quite fun. And we are already seeing some decks being, you know, being able to be pulled off, and I think there's a smattering of cards as well that just fit into and update some of the other decks. So it's cool to have some new cards to play with. Let me know down in the comments, what are your top 3 cards in the set, and let me know and give us a comment down below, and I'll try and get back to you on it as well. Yeah, like and subscribe. Thanks for all the support, guys. It's been really great, especially recently. Well done for getting through to the end of the video. Appreciate it as always, and I'll see you in the next one. And check out this video next.